Wilmington, Delaware. Wilmington is the largest and most populous city in the U.S. state of Delaware. The city was built on the site of Fort Christina, the first Swedish settlement in North America. It is at the confluence of the Cristina River and Brandywine River, near where the Cristina flows into the Delaware River. It is the county seat of New Castle County and one of the major cities in the Delaware Valley metropolitan area. Wilmington was named by Proprietor Thomas Penn after his friend Spencer Compton, Earl of Wilmington, who was Prime Minister in the reign of George II of Great Britain. As of the 2017 United States Census estimate, the city's population is 72,846. It is the fifth least populous city in the U.S. to be the most populous in its state. The Wilmington Metropolitan Division, comprising New Castle County, D. Cecil County, MD and Salem County, New Jersey, had an estimated 2016 population of 719,876. The Delaware Valley metropolitan area, which includes the cities of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Camden, New Jersey, had a 2016 population of 6,070,500, and a combined statistical area of 7,179,357. Wilmington is built on the site of Fort Christina and the settlement Christineham, the first Swedish settlement in North America. The area now known as Wilmington was settled by the Lenape band led by Sachem Matahorn just before Henry Hudson sailed up the Lenape in 1609. The area was called Moxwazunk or Bear Place after the Moxwazhana that flowed by. It was called the Bear River because it flowed west to the Bear people, who are now known as the people of Conestoga or the Susquehannocks. The Dutch heard and spelled the river and the place as Mingwanese. When settlers and traders from the Swedish South Company under Peter Minuit arrived in March 1638 on the Fogelgrip and Kalmar Nyckel, they purchased Moxwazunk from Chief Matahorn and built Fort Christina at the mouth of the Moxwazhana. The area was also known as the Rocks, and is located near the foot of present-day 7th Street. Fort Christina served as the headquarters for the colony of New Sweden, which consisted of, for the most part, the lower Delaware River region, but few colonists settled there. Dr. Timothy Stidham was a prominent citizen and doctor in Wilmington. He was born in 1610, probably in Hammel, Denmark, and raised in Gothenburg, Sweden. He arrived in New Sweden in 1654 and is recorded as the first physician in Delaware. The most important Swedish governor was Colonel Johan Prince, who ruled the colony under Swedish law from 1643 to 1653. He was succeeded by Johan Rising, who upon his arrival in 1654, seized the Dutch post Fort Casimir, located at the site of the present town of New Castle, which was built by the Dutch in 1651. Rising governed New Sweden until the autumn of 1655, when a Dutch fleet under the command of Peter Stuyvesant subjugated the Swedish forts and established the authority of the colony of New Netherland throughout the area formerly controlled by the Swedes. This marked the end of Swedish rule in North America. Beginning in 1664, British colonization began. After a series of wars between the Dutch and English, the area stabilized under British rule, with strong influences from the Quaker communities under the auspices of Proprietor William Penn. A borough charter was granted in 1739 by King George II, which changed the name of the settlement from Willington, after Thomas Willing, to Wilmington, presumably after Spencer Compton, Earl of Wilmington. Although during the American Revolutionary War only one small battle was fought in Delaware, British troops occupied Wilmington shortly after the nearby Battle of Brandywine on September 11, 1777. The British remained in the town until they vacated Philadelphia in 1778. In 1800, Eleuthère Irénée Dupont, a French Huguenot, emigrated to the United States. Knowledgeable in the manufacture of gunpowder, by 1802 DuPont had begun making the explosive in a mill on the Brandywine River north of Brandywine Village and just outside the town of Wilmington. The DuPont Company became a major supplier to the U.S. military. Located on the banks of the Brandywine River, the village was eventually annexed by Wilmington City. The greatest growth in the city occurred during the Civil War. Delaware, though officially remaining a member of the Union, was a border state and divided in its support of both the Confederate and the Union causes. The war created enormous demand for goods and materials supplied by Wilmington, including ships, railroad cars, gunpowder, shoes, and other war-related goods. By 1868, Wilmington was producing more iron ships than the rest of the country combined, and it rated first in the production of gunpowder and second in carriages and leather. Due to the prosperity Wilmington enjoyed during the war, city merchants and manufacturers expanded Wilmington's residential boundaries westward in the form of large homes along tree-lined streets. This movement was spurred by the first horsecar line, which was initiated in 1864 along Delaware Avenue. The late 19th century saw the development of the city's first comprehensive park system. William Poole Bancroft, a successful Wilmington businessman influenced by the work of Frederick Law Olmsted, led the effort to establish open parkland in Wilmington. Rockford Park and Brandywine Park were created due to Bancroft's efforts. Both world wars stimulated the city's industries. Industries vital to the war effort: shipyards, steel foundries, machinery, and chemical producers operated around the clock. Other industries produced such goods as automobiles, leather products, and clothing. The post-war prosperity again pushed residential development further out of the city. In the 1950s, more people began living in the suburbs of North Wilmington and commuting into the city to work. This was made possible by extensive upgrades to area roads and highways and through the construction of Interstate 95, which cut through several of Wilmington's neighborhoods and accelerated the city's population decline. Urban renewal projects in the 1950s and 1960s cleared entire blocks of housing in the center city and east side areas. Riots and civil unrest in the city followed the 1968 assassination of Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. On April 9, 1968, Governor Charles L. Terry, Jr. deployed the National Guard and the Delaware State Police to the city at the request of Mayor John Babiers. Babiers asked Terry to withdraw the National Guard the following week, but the governor kept them in the city until his term ended in January 1969. This is reportedly the longest occupation of an American city by state forces in the nation's history. In the 1980s, job growth and office construction were spurred by the arrival of national banks and financial institutions in the wake of the 1981 Financial Center Development Act, which liberalized the laws governing banks operating within the state, and similar laws in 1986. Today, many national and international banks, including Bank of America, Capital One, Chase, and Barclays, have operations in the city, typically credit card operations. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 17.0 square miles. Of that, 10.9 square miles is land and 6.2 square miles is water. The total area is 36.25% water. The city sits at the confluence of the Cristina River and the Delaware River, about 33 miles southwest of Philadelphia. Wilmington Train Station, one of the southernmost stops on Philadelphia's SEPTA rail transportation system, is also served by Northeast Corridor Amtrak passenger trains. Wilmington is served by I-95 and I-495 within city limits. In addition, the twin-span Delaware Memorial Bridge, a few miles south of the city, provides direct highway access between Delaware and New Jersey, carrying the I-295 Eastern Bypass route around Wilmington and Philadelphia, as well as US 40, which continues eastward to Atlantic City, New Jersey. These transportation links and geographic proximity give Wilmington some of the characteristics of a satellite city to Philadelphia, but Wilmington's long history as Delaware's principal city, its urban core, and its independent value as a business destination makes it more properly considered a small but independent city in the Philadelphia metropolitan area. Wilmington lies along the fall line geological transition from the mid-Atlantic Piedmont Plateau to the Atlantic coastal plain. East of Market Street, and along both sides of the Cristina River, the coastal plain land is flat, low-lying, and in places marshy. The Delaware River here is an estuary at sea level, providing sea level access for ocean-going ships. On the western side of Market Street, the Piedmont topography is rocky and hilly, rising to a point that marks the watershed between the Brandywine River and the Cristina River. This watershed line runs along Delaware Avenue westward from 10th Street and Market Street. These contrasting topography and soil conditions affected the industrial and residential development patterns within the city. The hilly west side was more attractive for the original residential areas, offering springs and sites for mills, better air quality, and fewer mosquitoes. Wilmington has a warm temperate climate or humid subtropical climate, with hot and humid summers, cool to cold winters, and precipitation evenly spread throughout the year. In July, the daily average is 76.8 degree F, with an average 21 days of 90 degree F and highs annually. Summer thunderstorms are common in the hottest months. The January daily average is 32.4 degree F, although temperatures may occasionally reach 10 degree F or 55 degree F as fronts move toward and past the area. Snowfall is light to moderate, and variable, with some winters bringing very little of it and others witnessing several major snowstorms. The average seasonal total is 20.2 inches. Extremes in temperature have ranged from 15 degree F on February 9, 1934, up to 107 degree F on August 7, 1918, though both 100 degree F and 0 degree F readings are uncommon. The last occurrence of each was July 18, 2012 and February 5, 1996, respectively. As of the census of 2010, there were 70,851 people, 28,615 households, and 15,398 families residing in the city. The population density was 6,497.6 per square mile. There were 32,820 housing units at an average density of 3,009.9 per square mile and with an occupancy rate of 87.2%. The racial makeup of the city was 58.0% African American, 32.6% white, 0.4% Native American, 1.0% Asian, 0.1% Pacific Islander, 5.4% from other races, and 2.6% from two or more races. 12.4% of the population were Hispanic or Latino of any race. Non-Hispanic whites were 27.9% of the population in 2010, compared to 40.5% in 1990. As of the census of 2000, the largest ethnicities included Irish, Italian, German, English, and Polish. There were 28,615 households, out of which 25.0% had children under the age of 18 living with them. 23.5% were married couples living together, 24.8% had a female householder with no husband present, 5.6% had a male householder with no wife present, and 46.2% were non-families. 38.1% of all households were made up of individuals and 12.3% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.36 and the average family size was 3.18. In the city, the age distribution of the population shows 24.4% under the age of 18, 10.0% from 18 to 24, 29.8% from 25 to 44, 24.2% from 45 to 64, and 11.6% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 34.3 years. For every 100 females, there were 90.5 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 87.4 males. According to ACS one-year estimates for 2010, the median income for a household in the city was $32,884, and the median income for a family was $37,352. Males working full-time had a median income of $41,878 versus $36,587 for females working full-time. The per capita income for the city was $24,861. 27.6% of the population and 24.9% of families were below the poverty line. 45.7% of those under the age of 18 and 16.5% of those 65 and older were living below the poverty line. The Wilmington City Council consists of 13 members. The council consists of 8 members who are elected from geographic districts, 4 elected at large, and the city council president. The council president is elected by the entire city. The mayor of Wilmington is also elected by the entire city. The current mayor of Wilmington is Mike Persicki. The Delaware Department of Correction Howard R. Young Correctional Institution, renamed from Multi-Purpose Criminal Justice Facility in 2004 and housing both pre-trial and post-trial male prisoners, is located in Wilmington. The prison is often referred to as the Gander Hill Prison after the neighborhood it is located in. The prison opened in 1982. Many Wilmington city workers belong to one of several locals of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Union. The city of Wilmington is made up of the following neighborhoods. The city of Wilmington designates 9 areas as historic districts: the Baynard Boulevard, Kentmere Parkway, Rockford Park, Cool Spring/Tilton Park, the Tri-Part sections of the East Side, St. Mary's and Old Swedes Church, Quaker Hill, Delaware Avenue, Trinity Vicinity, and Upper/Lower Market Street. The Brandywine Academy Building, Friends Meeting House in Quaker Hill, Cathedral of St. Peter in Quaker Hill, Old Custom House, Woodward Houses, New Century Club. Wilmington has consistently ranked among the most dangerous cities in the United States, along with several other cities in the Philadelphia metropolitan area, such as Camden, Chester, Trenton, and Atlantic City. In the 2000s, while most cities have seen a decrease in crime and murder, Wilmington has broken its record for homicides in a single year multiple times. In 2017, Wilmington saw an even steeper increase in crime. By August 2017, Wilmington had already eclipsed the homicide total of 2016 despite only being 2/3 through the year. In 2014, Wilmington recorded 28 homicides, making for a rate of 39.5 per 100,000 residents, which is 10 times the national average. Wilmington frequently appears on Neighborhood Scout's Top 100 Most Dangerous Cities in the United States list. Most recently, in 2017, Wilmington was ranked as the 5th most dangerous city in the U.S. Nearby cities such as Camden, New Jersey, and Chester, PA, also ranked in the top 15. In early 2017, the mayor's office as well as many public advocates called for comprehensive action to reduce astronomical crime rates in Wilmington, as the city saw a shooting almost every other day throughout the spring, and by May, the city had already seen 15 homicides. Since 2011, 80.5% of perpetrators in shooting incidents have not been arrested. Even in shooting deaths, only 39.5% of the perpetrators are arrested, leading to feelings of stress and lawlessness among the city's residents. An analysis of gun violence archive data by the Associated Press and USA Today found that, for the 3.5-year period from January 2014 to June 2017, Wilmington led the nation in teens injured or killed by gun violence with a rate of 3.4 per 1,000 teens, nearly double the rate of second-place Chicago's 1.8 per 1,000 teens. Between January 2015 and September 4, 2017, 64 children were shot in Wilmington, 5 of which died, with only 16 arrests made in those cases. The Wilmington Police Department, which aims to raise the level of public safety through law enforcement and thereby reduce the fear and incidence of crime, is authorized to deploy up to 289 officers in motor vehicles, on foot, and on bicycle. Its operations are accredited by the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. As of 2017, its chief is Robert Tracy. In 2002, the police department started a program known as Jump Outs, in which unmarked police vans would patrol crime-prone neighborhoods late at night, suddenly converge at street corners and temporarily detain loiterers, photographing and fingerprinting the detainees. The program was touted as a good way to arrest people with drugs or weapons, fill out the police's database of fingerprints, and identify eyewitnesses for future crime investigations. Some citizens said the practice violated civil rights. Also in 2002, Wilmington became perhaps the first U.S. city with surveillance cameras covering the downtown area. The Wilmington Fire Department is led by Chief Michael Donahue and maintains 5 engine companies, 2 ladder companies, a squad company, and a marine firefighting force. The department has a ride-along program to help recruit new firefighters. It requires firefighters to be regularly involved with community associations. Wilmington is the only municipality in Delaware with an all-career fire department. Emergency medical services are provided through contract with the city's St. Francis Hospital, whose EMS division operates a minimum 5 BLS transport units at all times of the day. Advanced life support services in the city of Wilmington are provided by Newcastle County's EMS division with 2 city-based medic units. All Wilmington firefighters since 2002 are trained to the EMTB level and serve as first responders for life-threatening emergencies. On July 1, 2009, the national financial crisis and projected city budget shortfall led the department to lay off firefighters for the first time in city history. 8 of the department's 173 uniformed personnel were laid off, but returned to work within 13 months to replace retiring personnel. The department also began a rolling bypass of 3 engine companies. Later, the city eliminated its only heavy rescue company, Rescue 1. Its personnel were deployed to other companies. In order to provide technical rescue services, the department converted 2 engine companies into squad companies. Engine 1 was redesignated as Squad 1, Engine 3 redesignated as Squad 3. Rescue 1's heavy rescue vehicle remained equipped and held in reserve. Even with the elimination of Rescue 1, the department continued the rolling bypass of an engine company. The rolling bypass now affected Squad 4, Engine 5, and Engine 6. The department found some financial relief in 2011 when it was awarded the federal SAFER grant. This enabled the department to fund 13 positions, returning the department's staffing to 173 uniformed personnel. Much of Wilmington's economy is based on its status as the most populous and readily accessible city in Delaware, a state that made itself attractive to corporations with business-friendly financial laws and a long-standing reputation for a fair and effective judicial system. Contributing to the economic health of the downtown and Wilmington riverfront regions has been the presence of Wilmington Station, through which 665,000 people passed in 2009. Wilmington has become a national financial center for the credit card industry, largely due to regulations enacted by former Governor Pierre S. DuPont, in 1981. The Financial Center Development Act of 1981, among other things, eliminated the usury laws enacted by most states, thereby removing the cap on interest rates that banks may legally charge customers. Many major credit card issuers, including Bank of America, Chase Card Services, and Barclays Bank of Delaware, are headquartered in Wilmington. The Dutch banking giant ING Group N.V. headquartered its U.S. Internet banking unit, ING Direct, in Wilmington. The United Kingdom's HSBC has their American operations headquartered in Wilmington. Wilmington Trust is headquartered in Wilmington at Rodney Square. Barclays and Capital One 360 have very large and prominent locations located along the waterfront of the Cristina River. In 1988, the Delaware legislature enacted a law which required a would-be acquirer to capture 85% of a Delaware chartered corporation's stock in a single transaction or wait 3 years before proceeding. This law strengthened Delaware's position as a safe haven for corporate charters during an especially turbulent time filled with hostile takeovers. Wilmington's other notable industries include insurance, retail banking, PNC Bank, Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan Chase, HSBC, Citizens Bank, Wilmington Savings Fund Society, and Artisans Bank, and legal services. A General Motors plant was closed in 2009. Wilmington is home to one Fortune 500 company, E.I. DuPont de Nemours & Company. In addition, the city is the corporate domicile of more than 50% of the publicly traded companies in the United States, and over 60% of the Fortune 500. Delaware chartered corporations rely on the state's Court of Chancery to decide legal disputes, which places legal decisions with a judge instead of a jury. The Court of Chancery, known both nationally and internationally for its speed, competence, and knowledgeable judiciary as a court of equity, is empowered to grant broad relief in the form of injunctions and restraining orders, which is of particular importance when shareholders seek to block or enjoin corporate actions such as mergers or acquisitions. The Court of Chancery, as a statewide court, may hear cases in any of the state's 3 counties. A dedicated use Chancery Courthouse was constructed in 2003 in Georgetown, Sussex County. It has hosted high-profile complex corporate trials such as the Disney shareholder litigation. Because Delaware is the official state of incorporation for so many American companies, the United States Bankruptcy Court for the District of Delaware, located in Wilmington, is one of the busiest of the 94 federal bankruptcy courts located around the United States. Delaware has among the strictest rules in the U.S. regarding out-of-state legal practice, allowing no reciprocity to lawyers who passed the bar in other states. According to Wilmington's 2015 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the top employers in the city are. Departing from earlier practices, the 2014 Comprehensive Annual Report that is currently available declined to identify the city's top employers. It is possible this information will be included, consistent with past reports, when a final version of the report is publicized as mandated by city charter. Wilmington has many museums, galleries, and gardens to enjoy, as well as many ethnic festivals and other events throughout the year. Notable among its museums is the Delaware Art Museum, whose collection focuses on American art and illustration from the 19th to the 21st century, and on the English Pre-Raphaelite movement of the mid-19th century. Wilmington has an active and diverse ethnic population, which contributes to several ethnic festivals held every spring and summer in Wilmington, the most popular of which is the Italian Festival. This event, run by St. Anthony of Padua Catholic Church, closes down 6 blocks in the west side of the city the second week of June for traditional Italian music, food, and activities, along with carnival rides and games. Another, somewhat smaller festival that draws large crowds is the Greek Festival, which is organized by Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church. The event features traditional Greek crafts, food, drink, and music. Another notable annual festival is the Polish Festival organized by St. Hedwig's Catholic Church, which features Polish cuisine with carnival rides and entertainment. Lenafe's African Festival celebrates the heritage of the African American majority in the city. Wilmington is also home to the annual Big August Quarterly, which since 1814 has celebrated African American religious freedom. India Fest, another cultural festival, is hosted by the Indo-American Association of Delaware. Wilmington also celebrates Hispanic Week, which coincides with National Hispanic Month festivities, September 15–October 15. The festival culminates with a pageant and desfile along 4th Street. Concerts featuring Latin music acts, Latin cuisine, and a carnival are held on the Riverfront on the last weekend. Activities are also held at St. Paul's Catholic Church. The Clifford Brown Jazz Festival is a week-long outdoor music festival held each summer in Wilmington's Rodney Square. The People's Festival is an annual tribute to Bob Marley, who once lived in Wilmington trying to earn money enough to establish his Tuff Gong music studio in Kingston, Jamaica. His son Stephen Marley was born in Wilmington 1972. Started in 1994, the People's Festival features reggae and world beat musicians playing original music and Bob Marley and the Wailers songs. The festival is held on the Wilmington Riverfront each summer. The Riverfront Blues Festival, a 3-day music festival held each August in the Tubman Garrett Riverfront Park, features prominent blues acts as well as artists from the local area. In the 1990s, the city launched a campaign to revitalize the former shipyard area known as the Wilmington Riverfront. Delaware Theatre Company was at the forefront of this movement, opening its current space on Water Street in 1985. The efforts were bolstered early by the Big Kahuna, also known as Kahunaville, and Daniel S. Frawley Stadium, the Wilmington Blue Rocks minor league baseball stadium. The Wilmington Rowing Center Boathouse is located along the Cristina River on the riverfront. Development continues as the Wilmington Riverfront tries to establish its cultural, economical, and residential importance. Recent high-rise luxury apartment buildings along the Cristina River have been cited as evidence of the riverfront's continued revival. On June 7, 2006, the groundbreaking of Justison Landing signaled the beginning of Wilmington's largest residential project since Bancroft Park was built after World War II. Outlets, shops, restaurants, and a riverfront market have also opened along the 1.2-mile river walk. The Wilmington area is home to 5 FM radio stations and 4 AM radio stations. A 6th FM radio station is located in southern New Jersey and is included in the Wilmington radio market surveys. Additionally, many radio stations from Philadelphia reach Wilmington. Wilmington is part of the Philadelphia television market. 3 of the market's stations are licensed to Wilmington: WTSDCA, WPPX, WHYY-TV. Interstate 95, which splits Wilmington roughly into eastern and western halves, provides access to major markets in the Northeast and nationwide. Interstate 495 is a bypass just east of the city, and Interstate 295 is south of the city, crossing the Delaware River into New Jersey on the Delaware Memorial Bridge. U.S. Route 13 passes north-south through the eastern part of Wilmington, entering the city from the south along DuPont Highway before following Heald Street, the one-way pair of Church Street northbound and Spruce Street southbound, and Governor Prince Boulevard. U.S. Route 13 business passes north-south through the center of Wilmington, entering the city from the south on Market Street before splitting into Walnut Street northbound and Market Street southbound, following Walnut Street northbound and King Street southbound in the downtown area, and following Market Street northeast out of the city to Philadelphia Pike. U.S. Route 202 follows I-95 through Wilmington before heading north onto Concord Pike through a business area to the north of the city. State routes serving Wilmington include Delaware Route 2, which follows the one-way pair of Lincoln Street eastbound and Union Street westbound in the western part of the city before heading west out of the city along Kirkwood Highway, Delaware Route 4, which heads southwest from the downtown area along Maryland Avenue, Delaware Route 9, which enters the city from the south along Newcastle Avenue before crossing the Cristina River and heading west through the center of the city along 4th Street, Delaware Route 9A, which provides access to the Port of Wilmington, Delaware Route 48, which heads west from the downtown area along Lancaster Avenue, Delaware Route 52, which follows Delaware Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue northwest out of the city to Kennett Pike, and Delaware Route 202, which follows Concord Avenue through the northern part of the city to connect to US 202 at Concord Pike. In Wilmington, streets are laid out in a grid, with north-south streets named and east-west streets north of Lancaster Avenue/Front Street numbered from 2nd Street and increasing to the north, while east-west streets south of Lancaster Avenue/Front Street are named. Lancaster Avenue/Front Street serves as the divider between north and south, while Market Street serves as the divider between east and west. There are 34 red light cameras in the city of Wilmington, situated at 31 intersections. Parking in downtown Wilmington is regulated by on-street parking meters along with commercial parking lots and parking garages operated by the Wilmington Parking Authority, Colonial Parking, and SP Plus Corporation. Wilmington is served by the Joseph R. Biden Jr. Wilmington Rail Station, with frequent service between Boston, Massachusetts, and Washington, D.C., via Amtrak's Northeast Corridor. SEPTA Regional Rail provides frequent additional local commuter rail service to Philadelphia along the Wilmington/Newark line. Amtrak has a major maintenance shop and yard in Northeast Wilmington that maintains and rebuilds the agency's Northeast Corridor electric locomotive fleet. The Amtrak training facility is also located in Wilmington, as well as Amtrak's Consolidated National Operations Center. 2 freight railroads, CSX and Norfolk Southern, also serve Wilmington. Norfolk Southern serves Wilmington along trackage rights on Amtrak's Northeast Corridor, the Shellpot Secondary Line heading through the eastern part of Wilmington as a bypass of the Northeast Corridor, and the Newcastle Secondary Line.